Guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we finally have the second variant of the GR Toys Carcharodontosaurus to take a look at, and on top of now having that second variant here to look at, I actually have the box as well, which is something I didn't have with the initial figure as I had ordered it from AliExpress without the box, but you can see that the actual box art for the Carcharodontosaurus as well is really quite beautiful. We have a very cool looking skeletal reconstruction right here in the front, as well as the Carcharodontosaurus title and 1/35th scale over here on the side, and then GR Toys down at the bottom. Up here on the top, again, some more images of like the skeletal structure of the dinosaur as well as Carcharodontosaurus up there. And then if we turn it around, same deal here on the back, absolutely no difference there. And then the underside just has your usual standard information as far as, what you usually find on the underside of a box related to pretty much anything. So let's go ahead, break this out of the box and take a look at the newest color scheme. So here is the second color variant for the GR Toys Carcharodontosaurus, and yet again, it is a very flashy looking color scheme that we have for this, and I will say that it definitely differs from the promotional images. Not quite the exact same paint scheme that we had seen on those promo images, but at the same time, it actually looks super nice here in person. The paintwork, of course, has a lot of white to it, which has kind of like a really cool design all over the body, which you can obviously see, but is really flashy and somehow, again, does look actually quite natural. And I really love the tones of orange throughout the figure, which looks definitely very appealing to the eye. So this is a really exciting figure. Again, I didn't think that this one would actually top the previous one, but there's a chance that it might. So let's go ahead, jump straight to a closer look right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see that the coloration on this one is plentiful, just like on the last one. There is definitely a lot of color variation included. You can see some really nice orangish tones there that are kind of around the eye, as well as some very subtle areas of alternate coloration in there. You can see it transitions to a really beautiful yellow up here, kind of through the palette and up to the top of the snout. And then we have some more like variations of like greens and stuff down here with some hints of blacks as well as some white striping, and a nice kind of an off-white or like almost like a grayish green here for the lower jaw with some speckling here and there of some blacks. So the coloration is definitely very nicely done in the face of this Carcharodontosaurus. The eyes as well are painted to perfection, definitely very nicely placed. Really nice gloss coat on there as well. They are painted with an orange coloration, which somehow actually does look pretty good. You would think, being the fact that the orange is there around the eye, that the orange eye itself wouldn't really stand out so well, and potentially a different color included on the eye might have made a little bit of a nicer appearance there, but it actually does still look pretty good as far as that eye coloration goes. And then if we take a look over here at the opposing side of the head, again, the coloration looks really beautiful over here. Very nice natural application of the paint, which is something that I've absolutely grown accustomed to when it comes to these GR toy releases. They always have really smooth, very realistic looking paint applications. And then of course, just like with the previous one, we have an articulated jaw, which this articulated jaw, well, that was really stiff right there. But we can see on the inside of the mouth, we have like a nice purplish coloration for like the primary color on the inside of the mouth. And then we also have a pinkish tongue, if we can get a nice shot of it there. So yeah, you can see the nice pinkish tongue, and it appears as though we have a nice wash included in there as well. The teeth are all painted really quite nicely. There does not appear to be any sloppiness as far as that goes. You can also see kind of a wash included here on the upper side of the mouth as well, so that is definitely a plus that they have added in some extra added color variation for the inside of the mouth, making sure it looks nice and realistic. As you move back here into the body, you can start to see some nice striping picking up here on the top of the body of the dinosaur. Actually, even up here on the top of the head, you can kind of see like a dark brown striping pick up, and then as you lead back here into the neck region, the dinosaur transitions to like a greenish color up here on the top, and you can see a nice mixture of like black and white striping that picks up in that area. And you can also see some more like black spots and stuff, as well as some white splotches here and there as you move down the course of the neck of the dinosaur. And also like some nice variations of yellows. Like you could see a few different tones of yellow included, or like orangish yellows and stuff. So the actual skin tone of this is really beautifully done, very realistic, because there's like so many very subtle differences in the color, which allows it to look super lifelike, as opposed to just like, paint on a model, where if they just give it one solid tone of color, it wouldn't look all that great. But as far as a realism standpoint goes, the paintwork is pretty much off the charts. As you move back here into the body a little bit further, you have more of that white, and it just kind of like splotches and designs all over the place. But within that white, you can also see like variations of orange, yellow, browns, all kinds of different colors. Even blacks are included in here. And down here in the lower part of the stomach, coming back into the leg, you can see some variations of greens as well. The arms transition to a nice dark brown. As you lead down into the hands, the nails are painted with a black, and they are very nicely painted, nice and carefully painted. You can also see that a darker wash has been applied to the underside of the dinosaur as well, so that it highlights the detail in that area quite nicely. Moving back up here into the body, again, that same similar style of coloration continues throughout the entire length of the dinosaur here as we lead into the thigh region. You can see like those nice tones of green up here at the top of the dinosaur, as well as those white stripes and stuff. And then as you lead down into the body, you have more of the mixture of like the white designing all over, as well as some hints of darker browns and blacks and oranges and yellows. There's just so much color included. As you move down the course of the leg, you can see some nice tones of green picking up here again in the shin area. As we move down the course of the foot, you can see it transition back to a brown for the feet, also including some hints of like greens, as well as some lighter variations of browns, especially on the underside of the feet right there. And then moving back up here, actually you can see even some light hints of yellow on the underside, but you can see again that that same style of coloration continues as you run out the course of the tail. We have that really cool white designing the entire way out, with some nice variations of greens, yellows, oranges, browns, blacks, so much coloration. But it ends in a really cool, kind of a strong orange tip, which at the same time, it looks pretty nice, but it's the only area of the dinosaur that I can say almost stands out in a non-realistic way, because it has just like such a strong orange color, and there doesn't really look like there's too much color variation. It does seem as though they've included a wash out there, but it's not all that strong, so it almost just looks like paint on a figure. But at the same time, I feel like that application of that wash that just ever so slightly shows up out there does kind of save it from having that paint-like look. And it's just kind of like an abrupt stop to the white here when it transitions to that orange. And I do think that the orange tip looks cool, but it's kind of like the only area I would say is the closest to not looking like natural body color, but at the same time does still kind of remain looking like natural body color. And of course, the paintwork on the opposing side looks exactly the same pretty much as what we had just seen. Very nice, very flashy, and overall beautifully done. You can see a nice off-white here for the underside of the dinosaur. You can also see like some yellows in the palms of the hands, more of like that orangish brown down here on the feet. Like the paint application of this is just so crazy, because just like the initial one, there's so many different tones of color included, which makes it just look so flashy. But again, the tones that they've chosen makes it look so realistic and so natural overall. I really actually like the transition from the white to the orange on this side a lot more than what I had seen on the other side. Definitely looks a little bit more natural, but the coloration of this is fantastic. Of course, we have reviewed the sculpt of this prior, so we don't need to take a look at the sculpt itself again. If you would like to see a more detailed review of the actual sculpt, make sure you check out my initial GR Toys Carcharodontosaurus review. But as far as this new one goes, the only thing we really needed to look at was the new paint application, and it looks fantastic. Just like with the initial Carcharodontosaurus as well, it stands and balances beautifully. I do not have any issues at all with it, falling over or anything like that. I actually just noticed that one area here in the leg has like a little splotch of green within that white, and looking at that makes me think that this would have looked really cool if you had some of that greenish color like that mixed in with the white here and there. But regardless, it still looks really nice. But one thing that's a little bit of a downside for mine, and I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, if we go out here, you can see that mine clearly has a crooked jaw going on, and this came completely in the box, so there shouldn't have been any type of, a factor into this warping or moving the jaw like that. It should have been just completely fine, which is crazy because the one that I had ordered prior to this without the box had arrived perfectly fine without any type of warping, but this one definitely has a good bit of an issue going on. Almost looks like the Dinosaur Revolution Allosaurus with the broken jaw, but hopefully I'll be able to fix that with a little bit of a warm water, cold water type deal, and then we can get that jaw back into place the correct way. As far as a size goes, if you happen to have missed my previous review of the Carcharodontosaurus, for a length you are looking at about 14.5 inches or around the 37 centimeter mark. And for the highest point would absolutely be the back of the neck right here. You are looking at just under 5 inches or about 12.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line in comparison to our GR Toys Carcharodontosaurus. Now, Mr. Papo T-Rex is actually a little bit closer to the screen than the Carcharodontosaurus is, so you probably aren't getting an accurate comparison. Now, I knocked Muldoon over, but they're a little bit closer now to being next to each other, giving you a more reasonable view of the size difference, but definitely a beautifully sized figure, and without question the largest Carcharodontosaurus that I have in my collection. And then for a second comparison, here are both versions of the GR Toys Carcharodontosaurus in comparison to each other, and I honestly don't know that I could pick a favorite out of these guys. Like, they are both beautifully painted, beautifully sculpted, just fantastic figures all around, and both of the paint applications of them have a really nice natural look, but both remain really flashy and, you know, honestly perfect, I would say, for this type of dinosaur. Like, it just looks so nice on both of them. So it's really kind of a toss-up as far as which one you would prefer, but I don't think I could pick a favorite. So this second variant of the GR Toys Carcharodontosaurus is yet another absolutely gorgeous figure from them. I have yet to find an actual GR Toys figure in hand that is anything other than absolutely stellar, because they've got a pretty good track record now as this, I mean, I don't know how you would consider this. You would consider this maybe the second release of GR Toys, but you could also consider it kind of like the fourth, because although we've only had 2 sculpts so far, there have been 2 different versions of each of the figures, as we had 2 different variants of the Spinosaurus, now 2 different variants of the Carcharodontosaurus. So it's kind of like it's their second release, but kind of like their 4th release at the same time, if you count variants as releases go. But this is yet another gorgeous looking version of the Carcharodontosaurus from GR Toys, and I'm really psyched to now have both versions in my collection. I feel like these figures are just so good that they are without question must-haves. Like, if you are a fan of theropods or just in general dinosaurs, but especially Carcharodontosaurus, you want to have these in your collection because they are just 2 most beautiful looking paint schemes that I think I've ever seen on a factory released figure. They're just so good. Like, it's very, very impressive seeing how good the paint applications of these are, knowing they came from a factory as opposed to like a legit paleo artist. But again, the coloration of this one is insanely well done, with so many different tones of color and such small, subtle transitions between the colors. It's just a very realistic application of the paint, which is something that I feel like GR Toys is very good at doing, and hopefully they consider painting all of their figures in a similar way in the future, because this is a really nice way to give you a super high quality figure with a super high quality paint scheme that many companies don't actually do. You usually don't get quite so much paint application on a figure, so it's absolutely awesome to have so much on these figures from GR Toys. I love the tones of color on this version of the Carcharodontosaurus with the really nice, very vibrant oranges and yellows, but also adding in some beautiful, very earthy tones of like green and some very nice flashiness of the white striping and white designing all over the body. Like, the coloration, all of it just complements each other, and of course the sculpt is what really makes that paint scheme and paint job shine. So this is an all-around fantastic release yet again from GR Toys. So if you are interested in picking this up, this time I had ordered mine from Dan's Dinosaurs, and this came with pretty much lightning-like quickness to my door, and this time including the actual box that the dinosaur should come with, so that is also a huge plus. So if you are interested in picking this up, I will include a link in the description to where I purchased mine, again on Dan's Dinosaurs. Make sure you head on over to Dan's order yourself this fantastic GR Toys Carcharodontosaurus, and actually make sure you tell Dan that Andy sent you, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.